Bienvenidos and welcome back to Puro Pinche Gol, the place we discuss all things USMNT y la selección mexicana. My name is Adrian. I'm joined once again by my co-host and Tocayo Adrian. Adrian, how you doing, man?
Excited, dude. First time around where you get to criticize Diego Cocca and talk about how was the trip to El Caribbean and to Azteca for Mexico and the gang. What's up with you, man?
Excited, man, as well. It's going to be our first 6 things we learned for la selección mexicana. We've done a couple of these for USMNT, but excited to kind of get this ball rolling with eltri here. Definitely, man. It's the first 2 games, the Diego Cocca era. So a lot to analyze. On our preview, we kind of said that these games were going to be close, just because it was going to be a learning curve. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we imagined, what just transpired here against Jamaica. So we'll get into it. We'll get into it for sure. For those of you guys that just started following us and don't really know what 6 things we learned is, it's kind of a series we do after every match, USA or
Mm-hmm.
Mexico, where we analyze the recent match and kind of give our 6 key points or 6 takeaways from the game. Either positive, negative, or just kind of a neutral thought that we kind of thought of about there. Before we jump in, Adrian, where can our listeners find us, man?
Sure, man. I mean, if they want to see our pretty faces, they can find us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the notifications. If you just want to listen to our beautiful voices, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast.
Awesome. Cool, man. Yeah, let's get right into it. So the 2 games we're going to be talking about here are obviously the Nations League matches, Mexico versus Suriname. Mexico won that game 2-0. Goal from Johan Vasquez, 64th minute, and then an own goal by Dan Curly. I don't know how you say his name.
Dankerly.
Yeah, but then they then went. That was an away game, and
Mm-hmm.
then they went to the Estadio Azteca, sorry, versus Jamaica, and they just finished up that match 2-2. Goal from Pineda in minute 17, and a penalty by Irving and Chukylozano in the 47th minute. Let's get right into it, man. Starting off with, I wouldn't say there was a lot of positive necessarily from these 2 matches, but what was the first thing you kind of took away from this, positive wise?
Yeah, as you said, there aren't that many positive things that we can take out of these 2 games. As I expressed before we started the pod today, it was difficult for me to jot some good things down. But I think the first thing that came to my mind when trying to find something good to say about these 2 games was that, all in all, if we look at both lineups, including the bench for both
Mm-hmm.
games, I think we can safely say, and surprisingly, definitely, a lot of adverts over there, um, is that Mexico has actually 2 decent, starting 11s. As I think, as we expressed on a previous episode, it seems that on the Suriname game, Mexico was playing with its B team, and it was
Mm-hmm.
saving the A team for the game against Jamaica, which, as it turned out, as we expected, it was the best challenge out of the 2, right?
Right.
The strongest challenge for sure. So this leaves me with this sense of, I think we focus a lot on this cambio generacional, that Diego Cocca has to start pushing out, age players, old players, those players that are aging and that they don't really benefit la selección mexicana in the near and midterm and long future. Uh, but if you look at the entire roster, you can see there's a good amount of young talent that, it's either coming up the ranks in ligamx or are, doing some good things out there in Europa. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you have Johan Vasquez, who this second half of the season has been great. Of course, you have edsonalvarez. You have Arteaga, who's is a regular on Genk, playing every single game, week in and week out. And then you have, of course, the likes of Israel Reyes and Santi Jimenez. I mean, it's I think that it's been a while since I've said this. I believe, we have a good pool of players where if someone is slacking and not picking up the pace, you have people to cover those positions now. Whether whether these two teams are on a level at a level of competing against the likes of maybe a top South American team. We have yet to see that, but I think I'm satisfied to say that um, it isn't as bad as we thought it was going to look like.
Yeah, definitely a lot of depth. Probably the first time in recent history that we see so
Hmm.
much depth and young depth for the selección mexicana there. Um, Speaking of that, you kind of mentioned the old guard, the old ones that are kind of getting phased out. Some that we'll obviously never see again, probably like HH or Guardado, or to an extent it should probably be Guillermo Ochoa
Yeah.
or Raul Jimenez.
Hmm.
All these guys, the ones that we saw today anyway, from the old guard, were the fans were letting them have it, man.
I saw
Every
that too.
time they touched the ball here against Jamaica, they were getting booed, and I think it has to do with the fact that the fracaso in the Mundial, the World Cup, and just the fact that they probably are tired of seeing these guys and want to give
Yeah.
Acevedo a chance, want to give El Bebote a chance, want to give other players a chance at these positions. Um, yeah, I agree with you completely. It's good that he brought such a different squad for both games, being able to see a lot of the talent that we
Yeah.
have there. Um, and yeah, I mean, a lot of young players for sure. You got some good leaders there, like Edson Alvarez, Chucky, who really hasn't done much recently for Mexico, but he played the first 20 minutes. I thought he was playing good, then he kind of faded
Yeah.
away.
Hmm.
But definitely a solid squad and a lot of depth that hopefully, as this team progresses and as Diego Cocca kind of takes helm, going forward, we'll be able to start seeing better results. All right, man. So, what is a bad thing we learned from watching these two games?
So on that same note about depthness, right, and how many players we have available that can put up two competitive starting 11s when needed. There's one thing that Mexico, it's I'm not gonna say it's lacking, but it's definitely, you can tell that it's a weak spot. Uh, this and when I'm talking about the right back position, as I expressed on the first good thing was, yes, we have a decent amount of players for each position. In this specific case, on this specific on these two specific games, we had three different players for that right back position. You had Kevin Alvarez, Jorge Sanchez, and Julian Araujo. So in paper, all of these three players should be your top three for that specific position, because Jorge Sanchez, albeit he doesn't really play that often with Ajax, but he has some starting 11 opportunities. Lately, he hasn't been the the go-to right back for Ajax, but he's there and he's playing out there. So
Right,
that should mean something. Then you have Julian Araujo, who just recently joined Barca, and even though he's not registered with the Barca A, I guess he's playing with Barca B, but it looks like he's training with the first team.
yeah,
So that also has to say something. And lastly, you have Kevin Alvarez, who has been playing at a great level for the last 2 years with Pachuca. So you look at these names, you have this idea of how they play with their clubs, and then all of a sudden you see him against Suriname, you see him against Jamaica, and they're struggling, man. They're struggling. Um, it's if we make an assessment on on these last two games, they face difficulties on that specific side of the pitch, whether they were attacking or defending. What I mean with attacking and defending is, um, even though Jorge Sanchez, Kevin Alvarez, and Julian Araujo were able to run from their side of the pitch all the way to the end, and then have some decent crosses, they were exposed very frequent to counterattacks, and they always
hmm
look very bad running towards their goal. It was just very interesting to see how none of these players was a solution. Was the solution that I guess Diego Cocca was looking for. Um, we'll see in the next few matches if Diego Cocca sticks with these names. I think he will, but I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe swaps one of these names with a right back that is more defensive rather than offensive. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts playing, uh, if you bring someone like Jesus Garza from Tigres, or even if he moves Jesus Angulo to play as a right back, because he knows how to play as a right back as well. So yeah,
Hmm.
I mean that's one of the bad things that I noticed on these two games.
Yeah, it could be interesting how it develops. Yeah, for sure. They're all, now that you mentioned it, they're all really attack minded focus.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like when we talk about the U.S. and Serginho Dest, same thing there. Which Serginho Dest and Julian Araujo are going to be end up fighting for game time Barcelona.
Yes.
But yeah, same story there. They were caught a lot today. Julian Araujo, I think, played better than
Yeah,
these two games in the second match.
I
He
agree.
only played, to be fair, 15 minutes this match, and then like 30, 40 minutes the other match. But I think he was kind of if we were to pick one going forward that might deserve to start the next game, it'd probably be him.
Yeah.
But from those three at least. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he goes forward with the right back. Um, Next item here, Adrian. What I see you got a neutral item here written down. What's that going? What you learn there?
So I know that we've been buried that we've been burying the hatchet on Coca's back severely for the last how many pods we have. You and well, at least I can only speak for myself, but I think that he wasn't necessarily the best choice available for la selección mexicana, but we have to stick with him and make the best out of him.
Right.
Going from that specific point, I think one neutral thing that we can take out of these two games is that yes, Mexico didn't have the best display on these two matches. Yes, it was a difficult game against Jamaica, and there are a lot of deficiencies that they have to tackle. Um, but if we want La Coca Troca to start, burning up those tires and quemar, we need to give him time. I think from this point going forward, I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. I think he's gonna take it's gonna take way more games for him to feel comfortable and finding that specific starting 11, starting to find that 23 squad number, 23
Hmm.
player squad to settle down on his idea of style and game that he wants to implement. We got to give him time. I don't think it will be fair to say that all of the bad things that we see from Mexico in these two games are because of Diego Cocca. I think
Right.
it's just a remnants of La Era del Tata Mezquino. Because I do have to say that 16 players out of the 34 that he brought for these two games are or were in the World Cup. So
Yeah.
it's I think we'll see uh, some of that style of play phasing out as he moves forward. So I think it's a neutral just because it isn't a bad thing, but at the same time, it isn't a good thing. It can come up or it can turn out to be a good thing if we allow Diego Cocca to settle down and make the best out of these players. But look, he was supposed to show up to Suriname and win. He was supposed to show up at Azteca and advance to the Final Four, and he did. So I guess this time around, we gotta say, hey, Diego Cocca, we're gonna give you time and make the best out of it.
Yeah, he did the bare minimum, right? That was required of
Hmm.
him to
Yeah,
be considered, I guess, quote unquote, a passable or a success. He qualified to the final four. Now, because of that, because of how he qualified, as with a draw at the end there, he might end up being qualifying as fourth place, which can ultimately lead him to play the USA in the final four,
yeah.
which will be a hell of a match for one of his. I think it's in June. Might be the next game actually. Well, no, I guess they play in April, right? The friendly in
Hmm.
Arizona.
Yeah.
But so he'll have one, I guess, match before that. But yeah, definitely a transition period right now. I don't
Hmm.
know how long we have to be kind of patient with him.
Patient.
But if he doesn't start picking up results against these types of teams, to be fair, Jamaica at least for the last 5-10 years has been a pain in Mexico's side.
Yeah.
Like they tie with them frequently, eliminated them in the
Hmm.
World Cup in the Gold Cup in like 2017 or 2018 or something.
Uh huh.
So it's not an easy squad. Those guys run nonstop. But yeah, I'm still on board the El Coca Troca. I'm
La
still not
Coca
jumping
Troca.
off yet. Yeah, but we'll definitely have to give him time and see how he develops as coach there.
Look, man. I mean, he probably, whatever the case may be, he might, the first big challenge might come up in the next time he faces Nations League against the USMNT. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who he calls up for that April friendly.
Hmm.
'Cause, I mean, it's a friendly, right? They're not required. The European teams aren't required to really
I
let
think
go of their players.
it's gonna be mainly ligamx and MLS guys.
MLS guys, yeah. So you
So,
really can't base it off of that.
well,
Um,
to me, it's an advantage to the USMNT because Mexico has, I don't know, half of their play half of its squad will come from Liga MX. So even if he doesn't want to, show up any secrets or whatever, he's gonna have to call up some of those players that will be part of his starting 11.
Part of
Uh,
his A team.
yeah, exactly. So,
True.
man, sheesh.
Yeah, a lot to look forward to here. All right, man. So what's another unfortunate bad thing we learned here?
So, I mean, of course, there's a play. I guess, as I said, it was difficult to find good things. I think it was easy to point out bad things. The other thing that I noticed, and I think it goes hand in hand with the first bad thing that we pointed out on this episode, is how Mexico suffered from losing balls in the midfield, trying to perform an offensive drive. I don't know if you noticed on both games, but it was really painful to see how Mexico will recover the ball, will try to, counteract as fast as they could for them just to lose the ball in the midfield and then suffer because, of course, um, both Suriname and Jamaica have very physical players that will eat you up if you give them
Right.
space to run, right? So it was very it was a man. It was a difficult pill to swallow to see, the Kevin Alvarez, Israel Reyes, Jorge Sanchez, and Hector Moreno. This game, man, he was as slow as hell. It was
Yeah.
difficult to see, them losing the ball in the midfield, then doing a quick vertical attack, throwing the ball, trying to win by speed, and then see, all these Mexican players trying to scramble and then pick up the pace. And the worst thing is that whoever was losing the ball wasn't doing anything in whatever they can to
Track
recover
back.
it.
Yeah.
And then you will see like three Mexican players jumping the gun and trying to box in whoever was getting the ball, which then lead to having more spaces closely to those sectors, to those areas. And that's actually, if you saw the first goal against the Jamaica made today, it was they lose the ball in the midfield. The Jamaica makes a quick break, long ball, three players box in. Whoever's going to receive the ball, he hits it, and then whoever, the guy who scored that amazing golazo, by the way, he
What a
was he was
goal.
on his own. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was alone, all alone. So that was very prominent on these two games.
Yeah. Going forward, losing it, not tracking back, and leaving just Huecos spaces back there for the counterattack. Just like I know we talked about before, kind of as soon as the match ended, Raul Jimenez lost the ball probably at three quarters of the field in the Jamaica
Hmm.
area, and he just lost it and just like kind of gives a fastidiado, like, oh shit, like I lost the ball, but doesn't do anything to like track back and like win it back.
I
And
know.
luckily it was playing Jamaica and not England or Germany or somebody I could punish you for those. But
Hmm.
you know the Jamaica player could have probably done better. But the Julian Araujo and the two center backs kind of tracked back and kind of won the ball there. But yeah, dangerous situation to be putting the team in for sure. Um,
It's difficult because this was Jamaica, but if
right,
you face Canada or the USMNT, man, they're gonna kill you. They have strong, fast players at the front. They know how to capitalize those quick breaks. Um, if they had that are leak, if they had Christian Pulisic, Rio Reina, sorry, um, even Eustáquio from Canada. I
Jonathan
mean,
David from Canada.
yeah, Jonathan David,
Hmm.
they're gonna destroy you. 'Cause we don't have Mexico doesn't have any fast players. They don't,
Right,
at least defensively speaking. Um, I cannot speak for the forwards because some of them are fast, some of them aren't. But you're not gonna defeat Antonio Davies on a
right.
freaking sprint. He's just gonna freaking eat you up and score a golazo. So they better watch out for that, man.
Yeah. Um, So what's another thing we learned here? Another neutral item here, Adrian.
Another neutral item that we had was this was, I was writing this down as a bad thing, but then I kept on thinking, and I was like, you know what, doesn't even deserve a classification of a good or a bad thing. This is just, I'm just indifferent. I'm done with this. And that's it's chukylozano. I know he scored a penalty today, but on my books that doesn't mean anything, man. Saying that he was a bad thing we learned from these two games implies that I'm still holding out for him to become the Mexican
Right.
player. But I'm not. I'm done. I'm done, dude. I'm just over him completely. This guy keeps on living from that game that he had against Germany, sorry, in 2018. We keep on expecting more from him. And ever since 2018, he hasn't done anything for Mexico. He was lackluster on during Qatar 2022. He wasn't as determined. He wasn't a determining factor for this game whatsoever. He had 20 minutes of interesting time today on the pitch, and for the rest of the game, he was
Hmm.
just another player on the pitch. He wasn't crucial. He wasn't effective. He wasn't really dangerous. It's just, this guy, we all want him to be that go to player for Mexico, pero tiene todo en la sangre. This guy, there's no sense of urgency for this guy. He's just, it seems to me that he's okay with what he's doing, and that's it. And I don't blame him. I mean, he's having a good season at Napoli, but why not replicate that with Mexico? Like, when you
Right.
know that you are the star of the team, you should be putting yourself out there, leading by example. And he's just, it's whatever. I'm done, dude. I'm indifferent. If Coca wants to call him up, it's great. If he doesn't, I don't care. For all I know, you can put Uriel Antuna, it's gonna be the same thing.
Yeah, you kind of know what you're going to get with chukylozano now. It's going to be like
Hmm.
a 5 or 6 out of 10 performance. Um, he'll just be neutral. He won't stand out. He'll just be another player on the field. Um, I think he's kind of está conformado because
Yeah.
he kind of feels like I'm doing well in Napoli, so I'm not going to get dropped with la selección. He knows he won't get dropped. So I don't know. Yeah, he started off good, like I said. I mean, the first 20 minutes, 15 20 minutes, he had a couple attacks on the left side that unfortunately weren't capitalized on. But he was cutting back, getting some crosses in. But yeah, he just disappeared after that. Good penalty, but I mean, like you said, you'd expect him to make that, right?
It's a
I mean,
penalty. I mean,
you could have
yeah,
given that to anybody.
except for Roberto
Yeah,
Jimenez.
yeah, that's true. That ball's still flying
I
right now.
know.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be hard for him to replicate that 2018 form. I was gonna say form, but it wasn't really form. It was just that one game that kind of just skyrocketed him
Yeah.
to stardom.
Hmm.
But
What's funny? I mean, you were saying that that the fans were booing some of these 2022 players, right?
mhm,
And then it was interesting that you mentioned that they were booing El Chukylozano when I heard during the broadcast that I was watching that they were chanting him for a little while. Like they were, how he has this song where he goes like El
yeah,
Chukylozano. Well, it looks like people. I guess people are divided on whether they like him or not.
mhm.
I don't blame him. I mean, this guy, he's just, uh, I can even find the word for him, man. I'm done with you, Chucky. I'm done, dude. I'm just done.
Done, man. Well, we're almost done with this episode, so we got one more good thing. The sixth item here. Kind of want to end it on a high, I guess, quote unquote, good note. But I think this last item is probably the one of the better things we saw.
Yeah.
So a clean sheet debut for Acevedo. What so good thing, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. That was a good thing. I mean, unfortunately, this season for Acevedo hasn't been the best one with Santos Laguna. Um, but if we are if we look at things realistically, he is the only candidate that can actually take the Memo Ochoa spot. It was great that he started his career with with Mexico with a clean sheet. just because he helps him build up that confidence to challenge Memo Ochoa for that for the position. I think if he's able to continue to continue to he's able to continue that good level that he's been having with Santos for the last 2 3 years. I think he's just a no brainer for taking beating Ochoa to
Mhm.
to that position. And the fact of the matter uh, is that I don't think Ochoa is gonna go anywhere unless he really sucks ass. And even then, I don't think he's gonna move. I think it's up to Acevedo to change Diego Cocca's mind and be like, hey, I am ready for this spot, and then Ochoa can be benched. It's a difficult task, but if there's anyone in Mexico that can actually make it happen, it's Acevedo. So it's a good thing that he debuted it. It's a good thing that Diego Cocca considers him
Yeah,
to be, even if he's not the starting goalkeeper, to be the second string goalkeeper. Because all in all, he is the heir of that throne. So a good
yeah.
thing. Good thing. One of those two good things that we found on these games.
No, it's interesting that you mentioned that Guillermo Ochoa isn't going anywhere. It's true, man. I mean, this game, that first goal, like nobody stops it. You know,
Yeah,
I
it was no fault on
yeah,
him.
not his fault. But there
Mhm.
was a chance during like the 87th minute that Jamaica had to win it, and like Memo has been doing for the past 10, 15 years. He's clutch in the clutch moments, and he
Mhm.
saved the team there.
Yeah.
As long as he keeps performing with those clutch moments, he's going to be the undisputed number one. You're right that it's going to be up to Acevedo to kind of in
Mhm.
practice to show in training to show that hey, I could be number one. Going to be interesting to see how he. Hopefully, he gets called up for the game in Arizona next month.
I really hope so. And even if it's as well, I think he's gonna be called up as the first string for that specific game, especially if it's gonna be all ligamx. One bad thing on Acevedo's side is that Memo Ochoa has been stellar for Salernitana on the last few weeks. Even to the point that the Italian press is calling him the best signing of the season. So I mean, it sucks for Acevedo, but geez, I mean, it's difficult. As much as we would like to see Ochoa, settle down and move into the sunset of his career and whatnot, I don't think I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's around for the next World Cup.
Hey, props to him, man.
You know,
Jeez, that's crazy for an old
for
fart.
real. Hmm.
Oh man. All right,
Hmm.
man. Well, that was the six things we learned, kind of summarizing our 6 points here. Before we wrap it up, man, do you have any other items you want to bring up here?
There's one additional item that I want to bring up to you, man, and this is probably the one episode we have 7 things we learned, and it's a bad thing. It's something that I really dislike, and I don't know which broadcast you were watching the game on, but I was watching it on VIX,
Yeah,
and there were,
on TUDN.
yeah, which is Televisa. And
Yeah.
and as y'all know, Chabelo passed this weekend. May he rest in peace. Uh, but they were showing clips of Chabelo during the game. Oh my god, man, they were freaking annoying, dude. I really disliked them. What the hell, madre mia. That was just has nothing to do with the game. This freaking Chabelo saying stuff about America, and then you see this old fart talking like a kid and dressing up like a kid. I'm like,
Oh my god.
dude, come on, man. This is just wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. It was pissing me off. Needless to say, it
I was
was
watching
just.
the Univision cast, and they mentioned him a couple times. No, sorry, not the Univision, the Unimas cast, the same thing,
Mhm.
right? They mentioned him a couple times, but they never showed clips or anything. Oh my
Dude,
god.
Bix, they were actually like they will do a picture in picture kind of thing. They
Yeah.
will they will significantly reduce the screen of the game, and they will put like on like at least a third of the screen with a Chabelo video or clip saying something random or whatever, like from the 80s, from the 90s, from the
Yeah.
2000s and whatnot. And it was just this freaking guy just saying like crying because El America lost, or saying something like I don't know, the Mexican team has to win because they're good or what, something, yeah, just stupid. It was, oh man, I hated it. I mean, I was just
Oh
raging
my god.
bad, dude. I was raging bad.
It was funny, man. They just had to make you rage even further.
¿Qué pasó,
Um,
cuate?
oh my god.
Disgusting,
This
man.
guy. Well, good way to end it with a Chabelo there. Um, well, Adrian, always a pleasure being here with you, man.
It's always nice,
Listeners,
dude.
we're gonna be following the USMNT's match tomorrow against El Salvador, another crucial match that will kind of determine the order of the final four, who plays who. So we'll also be releasing a six things we learned regarding the USA and El Salvador and USA and Grenada. So please be sure to follow us and listen to that one as well when we publish. Adrian, before we take off, where can our listeners find us, brother?
I just want to remind them that if they want to see our pretty faces, they can find us on YouTube. Again, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the notifications. If you're okay just listening to our beautiful voices, you can find us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast on. Lastly, but not least, you can also find us at Puro Pinche Gol on Instagram and Twitter. We post stuff every now and then.
Sounds good. Yeah, be sure to follow us on your preferred social media platform of choice. Adrian, I'll see you tomorrow, man, after the USA game.
Take it easy, dude.
See you, brother.
See ya.